We all know that the energy demand puts immense pressure on our national budget and on exchange rates. Now, in this regard, we must bear in mind that our imports of crude oil and refined petroleum products and coal amounts to almost $5 billion every year. That is almost 25% of our total imports. Almost 50% of our exports is our energy imports today, amounted to almost 5 billion rupees. So in this type of situation, we all know that for almost 2 years continuously, we have been talking about the unsustainable nature of our debt situation. The government continued to ignore that, and finally we ended up with almost a hard default, and now we are considered a bankrupt economy. In this situation, it is indeed welcome for us to invite non-debt creating foreign investment. But when you do that, whether we should altogether forego the necessary transparency and accountability in awarding those contracts is an issue that will come up for discussion. Even now, in this bill, that is the issue that we are raising. We all agree that renewable energy projects are an important area where we must concentrate, and the government has decided by 2030 we must have almost 70% of our generation through renewable energy. While we reach that target, whether we are to amend the Electricity Act to enable unsolicited proposals of this nature in this fashion, whether it is a healthy thing, is a matter of discussion today, and that is why we are suggesting that to limit such unsolicited proposals for all projects below 10 megawatts and to have some kind of transparency in awarding those contracts to any projects beyond 10 megawatts. And I hope the government will consider this very seriously and accept it. Otherwise, we'll be compelled to vote against this. Now, this particular project is to be awarded, as we all know, to a company called Adani Group in India, and Indian benevolence have benefited us in the last few months through variety of credit lines, and their generosity has been well documented and accepted, and we are very much indebted to the government in India for what it is doing today. And I must also thank the Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu for having sent us food aid, so many tons of food aid generously given to the use of Sri Lankans of every community in this country. And we also found the Honorable Chief Minister raising an issue regarding the Kachativu to the Honorable Indian Prime Minister. There we must say that it was an issue which had already been settled, and for us to raise the honestness now in a difficult time would be not something that should be done, and that's an issue that has been well settled, and the issue relating to the Indian fishermen and their encroachment into our fishing areas, as you are also representing the Jaffna district, is a well documented and a very important issue that we have to resolve. But then it cannot be resolved by such an approach to finally take over Kachadivu from Sri Lanka. It's a well-settled matter, and that territorial issue has been already settled as far as the international law is concerned. Therefore, we must very respectfully say that we are opposed to such a move. But having said that, now we must, now when you talk about this transparency in contracts, particularly we know Indian government at various levels is practicing the Swiss challenge system to accommodate unsolicited proposals. Now, as a matter of fact, now at the national level, there are draft PPP rules in 2011 issued by the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance in India. There is also National Public-Private Partnership Policy issued by the Department of Economic Affairs and Ministry of Finance. Then there are different states that have taken initiatives to formulate regulations for treating unsolicited proposals through Swiss challenge. That's in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. Various states have adopted these new rules. So at least such a transparent procedure for Swiss challenge to be adopted in this case would enable, at least we can limit it to the Indian companies. We
Honourable
know,
Member, you have 2 more minutes.
yeah, we know that the issue relating to Indian Ocean security and the maritime security issues is a serious concern for our great neighbor India. So as regards that, they are very sensitive to projects that are awarded, particularly in areas bordering their territorial waters. So in that regard, we are quite possessed of the sensitivities of India, and we are prepared to consider, give special consideration. But when it comes to the competitiveness of those bids being awarded to single parties without sufficient competition is a serious issue as far as the consumers in this country are concerned. But it's a question of the final price that the consumer will have to pay if it is supposed to be a fraudulent transaction. Therefore, to get rid of that perception, at least a Swiss challenge system involving only Indian companies to participate in this tender would be welcome, rather than to choose a single person, a single company, so that it will enable participation by everybody in a competitive bid through a Swiss challenge system, where the original proposal comes from Adani Group, but other companies will allow to match that proposal. And if they comply, if they cannot, then when they match the proposal, again the offer is given to the original proposer, so that the first right of refusal is given to him. That is what is called the Swiss challenge proposal. If that is adopted, at least there would be some form of transparency.
Honourable Member, please wind up.
In this project. And that is why, and also we must look at the issue of some kind of regional refinery and regional liquefied natural gas terminal, and to also look at the more optimal energy supply solutions for the entire region by resource sharing between all countries in the SAARC region. Because SAARC region consists of almost 25%, almost a quarter of the world's population is in our region. So why not we have a proper, it will be good to try and exploit the synergies in the region, helpful to develop a regional power market, energy trade infrastructure, a harmonized legal and regulatory framework, so that we all can benefit. We know this region has almost every year almost annual demand of energy demand expected to grow at 5% in this region. Therefore, collectively, our countries must have a strategy to develop this program.
Please wind up. Thank you.
To have optimal, suboptimal exploitation of renewable energy sources to be got rid of, and for us to optimally use all the energy resources in the region through cooperation together with all the countries in the region. Thank you.
Thank you.